Glad to have you along today on this Tuesday episode of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I am Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani, and we have Jeff Burson on the controls and social media today. Ryan Penny, the one, the only Ryan Penny, is screening your calls. Rich Jesse is still out with his brand new baby girl, but he should be back fairly soon. And Debbie, we had the show intro talks about what people are talking about. Yesterday we put a topic out there. So many people wanted to talk about it. We decided again to do a part two. So here we are.
Part two, yep. We're talking about it drives me crazy when ... So you can finish the sentence. And if you called in yesterday and unfortunately we left you on the line, call back. And Ryan, just say to Ryan, hey, Ryan, I was on yesterday and they couldn't get to me. And Ryan will bump you to the front of the line because you deserve that. You waited a long time. Some folks waited a good 15, 20 minutes and you wanted to get on the air. We would love to get you on the air and you can finish the sentence. It drives me crazy when. And it's important that we hear from you. We also heard, Jerry, folks yesterday talking about things that bother them at the parish level, things that bother them with politicians, things that bother them generally in life. We heard about things that bother you, Jerry, driving, other people's driving habits. And so it's very interesting. You know, we're getting a very I think a very interesting mix of things that drive people crazy, but it's good to talk about it because where are you going to talk about it? I guess you can talk about it in the privacy of your own home, but really at the workplace you can't. Everybody's so politically correct these days. You know, everything has to be perfect. You can't say anything to offend anybody, and so you probably stuff it. And so this is a good place just to, you know, vent a little. I think this is very healthy.
Yeah, it is. And so it could be anything, you know. When we say, you know, I hate it when, or drives me crazy when, well, of course, you know, we don't really hate it, I guess, or we don't literally go insane over certain things. But we're just talking about things that are probably a notch above the pet peeves. We all have the pet peeves in life, but there are some things that when other people do them or we experience them or these things happen to us, for whatever reason, they just push our buttons, you know, and we just say, boy, I hate it when that happens. And, you know, Debbie, I came up with another one during the night. I forgot to mention this yesterday.
No, you're only allowed one. No.
Oh, well, one per show.
Just
one per
kidding.
show.
Yeah, one per
Actually,
show.
I had two for today, and I forgot what the other one is. But this one really, really bugs me.
Okay,
and that is people putting the letter H when there's no H in a word. Like, or
What?
Yeah, well, you hear this on sportscasts all the time.
Okay.
They've won 12 straight games. Okay,
and they put an H in there?
Well, there's an H in the word straight,
yeah.
but it's at the end of the word and it's silent. It's not at the front of the word and you don't pronounce it. And I'm thinking these guys are all, you know, Ivy League educated. They're all, you know, major university educated, and they use the, you know, strong. He was really strong today. The word, you know, 5 straight games in a row. And I just want to pull my hair out, but there isn't any.
I've never heard. Now I'm going to notice that.
Yeah,
So that really bugs you, huh?
Well, it bothers me just because it's so lazy and imprecise and wrong. It's just kind of, I don't know. You know, I think it's just, you know why it bothers me so much?
Tell us.
And I have a lot of flaws and horrible weaknesses and so forth.
Right.
But in this industry that I've been in for 39 years, in 11 days, it'll be 39 years for me in this business. That's just sloppy, you know. It's, you know, I don't know what to compare it to, but you know,
Right.
you want to speak precisely, use precision, and so maybe some people disagree with me. You know, if there are people who put H's in words where they aren't any, I'm probably going to get a lot of emails over that.
I know now. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, don't let Jerry see that. I know, but I'm glad you shared that, though. See, this, folks, this is why we do this show, because we're very, very, this is real life, and that's what Take Two is all about. So if you have something that drives you crazy, or even if you agree with what drives Jerry crazy, you know, with everybody putting H's in words that it doesn't exist, call in and share with us. We love to hear from you. We're a family. Here's the number, 1-833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. And Jerry, should we try to go into the phones, or don't we normally just do our intro first?
We could. You didn't share another one today, and people are, you know, sitting on the edges of their seats, maybe even their car seats. So be careful if you're driving, waiting with such anticipation for
Right.
Debbie's her pet peeve for today. So what is it?
I don't know. I guess a lot of things drive me crazy. Can I think about it a little bit? I'm still stuck on your H thing. I just never have. I've never heard of that. That's interesting. Probably, you know what I think? Okay, I got it. I got it. What drives me crazy is people that are intentionally rude. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about when you go into a restaurant and somebody, you know, kind of the person lets the door shut behind them and doesn't realize that there's somebody behind them, and maybe they're just oblivious and they're just walking in quickly to the restaurant. I'm talking about people that are intentionally rude, and you know who they are. They're people that just don't care about anybody else. They cut in front of you. They don't open doors. They don't hold the door. They don't do anything proper. Or if you're standing at the hostess stand and you're waiting patiently and somebody walks right in front of you and says, you know, party of four for Smith, and you're like, excuse me, I was standing right here. Did you ever have that happen to you, Jerry?
Well, in a similar way, yes. Everyone who listens to the show regularly knows I make a pilgrimage to Costco just about every Sunday, and sometimes the carts get backed up as you're going out because they have to look at your receipt,
Look at your slip, yeah.
check it against what you have in there. And so there was this one time, both lines were just back about 8 or 10 carts, and this guy who had like 1 or 2 items, he thought, well, I'm too good to wait in this line behind all these losers with a basket full of stuff. So he just went marching up right around all of us, and I just thought, man, that didn't drive me crazy. I just thought, whoa, just the hubris or whatever. Is hubris the right word?
Yeah, but well, it does drive me crazy in the sense that I just think people. Sometimes you have to teach people how to act in public. You really do, because people have lost that sense. So that does drive me crazy. I mean, I can be a little flippant. Like I'll say something like, well, you go right ahead. Don't worry. I was just waiting here about 20 minutes, but you go right ahead.
Yeah, the passive aggressive approach.
Hey,
call it what it is,
works.
Debbie,
Well, that's true. Okay, so folks, if the phone lines are filling up, that means you have something to say about this topic again, because this is part 2. We did this yesterday, and we're continuing the discussion on what drives you crazy. We shared with you, now share with us on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. Remember, this is your show, so you drive the show. Your takes is what everybody's listening to, your life experiences. That's what everybody draws from. 1-833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. When we come back, we're going to Patricia and Debbie and Nick and the others.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Now, when Jesus was on earth, he taught us a great lesson. He taught us that he came for the sinner, not the virtuous. He came for you because you are imperfect. Because sin comes easy to you, and sometimes you don't have the willpower to say no.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Bishop Robert Barron.
Tolkien has reached out to, Nordic culture and literature and Icelandic sagas and all sorts of things. He learned a lot about the good, the true, and the beautiful from his study of pre-Christian cultures. He used narrative forms that were accessible to the culture. He adapted that to evangelical purposes. So that shows you that flexibility. It shows you a certain creativity in the evangelical art. He did not proselytize. Rather, he very delicately and indirectly and cleverly evangelized through the imagination, so that someone taking in these great stories of Tolkien or his friend C.S. Lewis, they're going to say, oh yeah, I get that. I recognize that pattern. So that finally when they hear the gospel, they'll say, yeah, I understand that. I learned that from The Lord of the Rings. I learned that pattern from the Narnia stories. And that was the genius of those fellas.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
This is Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie and you. We really got to put your name somehow in the title of the program, because you are the ones who make it what it is every day. And the affiliates, too. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the program. We are so grateful for that. And we just love to be able to let you know about other shows that are airing on EWTN radio on most of these stations. One of them you're probably familiar with. If not, check it out. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And it's a different host or expert every day. And on Tuesdays today, it is Father Wade Menezes. He is the Fathers of Mercy, and you probably have seen him on EWTN television. Almost certainly have heard him on EWTN radio. So it's open line Tuesdays 3 Eastern time with Father Wade Menezes. Check it out.
Okay, let's go first. She was waiting yesterday, so she's on YouTube waving to Patricia. Hi, Patricia in Houston, Texas. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Patricia.
I'm so excited to talk to you guys. I've called a few times in the past, but never was patient enough to wait till the end. I think
you waited 24 hours this time, right? You waited 24 hours.
Yeah. But can I just say quickly, I think that both of you are so incredibly kind to your listeners. This is from a year ago, 2 years ago, I've been listening to your show, and I always wanted to call in, even when I had nothing to say, just to say how kind you are and how much you're helping a lot of people.
Oh,
thank you, Patricia.
So much.
You're very kind.
Yes, we really appreciate it, Patricia. Okay, Patricia, we're going to give you the Virtual Patience Award since you did wait 24 hours. So you get the virtual award. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, what drives me crazy, I just came back to the faith 2 years ago, 2017, and thanks to Father Mitch Parker, I found a great parish here in Houston, and with the help of Michelle Johnson. The 2 years I've been back, before I came back, I went through non-denominational church. And while I was there, I was thinking, because I knew in my head that I was Catholic. I even said to people that I was Catholic, but I just come here. So while I was there, I was always comparing things of the way people dressed, and I didn't know I was part of it in the end, because when I saw that we were allowed to wear torn jeans and those ripped jeans, I started to do it myself. But then I was saying, this would never happen in the Catholic Church. This would never. But when I got back, I've had the shock of my life, seeing that there's no difference anymore. The way we dress, and even for some women, I'm embarrassed myself, even though it's not me dressing like that. It's just shocking. We have a great priest at the parish who doesn't mince words. He doesn't, sugarcoat anything. And sometimes he even says he's sad that nobody calls anything sin anymore. So I am shocked about that, and that drives me crazy that sometimes I feel like going to some ladies and saying, this is church, this is church. So that's one of the things that drive me crazy.
Wow. Deb, you or me? I got a couple things, but go ahead.
Well, just real quickly, Patricia, I just wanted to say welcome home. That is so awesome. You are home in the faith, and I think you mentioned Father Mitch Pacwa, which of course we all love Father Mitch, and I think you said Michelle Johnson. She's the director of communications.
Yeah, with the help of Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. Yeah. She is wonderful. She is in charge of communications for EWTN, and we just love Michelle. Mm-hmm. She is amazing, and everything she does it 100%, and she loves God so very much. It's just incredible. So I'm so glad you met up with her and she was able to be of assistance. Just real quickly, I just wanted to say, it drives people crazy. It came up yesterday about folks leaving Mass early, and then you're bringing up, the dress and how, really people behave. I know yesterday there was somebody on the line that we couldn't get to that said they don't appreciate all the talking before and after Mass. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, this comes back to how we really catechize and how we educate our faithful. And I worked for a priest many years ago and it was brilliant. He allowed people to come up after Mass to say a few words at the pulpit, to say a few words about their feeling of what they wanted to see for their community. So folks would get up at the end and say, like Patricia, if you were asked to come up, you would get up and say something like, I just really feel like, we're better than this. We should all be, dressing like we're going, to a big wedding banquet and how beautiful it is, and the tabernacle's here, and it came from the people in the pews rather than only the priest or the deacon, which is great. It should come from the priest or deacon. But I just real quickly wanted to say, you may want to suggest that, and I think people need to be more active in that, because it possibly the priest would be open to that, just having peers, share their feelings about things, because that's what community is all about. What do you think about that, Jerry and Patricia?
Well, Patricia, first, what are your thoughts on what Debbie shared?
I couldn't suggest that because I feel like I'm too new. I still feel very new at the parish. I'm like not wanting to get into trouble because when I was on the other side, I didn't know better. I was wallowing in darkness, but it's shocking to me that it's happening in the church. But I'm too. I don't know if I'm bold enough to suggest it because I might just be eaten up alive. Or
Sure.
Well,
So give it
Patricia,
time.
yeah, and I echo what Debbie said. Welcome home. Welcome back to the church a couple of years ago. Praise be to God. Yeah, you may be sort of quote unquote new, in terms of your return to the faith, but you're as important a part of that community as anybody is. We're all equal in our baptism and in our faith and receiving the sacraments. So yeah, maybe give it a little bit more time. Certainly pray that the Holy Spirit would do that because, as Debbie was pointing out, catechesis is so important and it just hasn't been what it should have been in recent decades. And long gone are the days when it's just matter-of-factly understood that when you pass through this particular door, okay, you're out in the vestibule, out in the parking lot, but when you go through this door right here, it's shh. And I tell you one thing, I usually go to a 4 p.m. Mass for the weekend on Saturday, and there's a group that sits about 6 pews behind where I am, and they just talk. They get there about an hour before Mass, and they just talk. And this past Saturday, the lady got up to introduce the Mass and say, please silence your cell phones, our celebrant is going to be so-and-so. And they just kept talking through all of that. I just looked back there, I went, man, there's got to be a coffee shop someplace close, So anyway, thanks, Patricia. I guess that one kind of pushed my button too, Debbie, as you can tell. But
Yeah. No, but I think it's, and I also, well, you said, Jerry, at the great points. I just think it's important too that we as the lay faithful, in a very kind and loving way, share what we want for our parish community. There's nothing wrong with that. The culture will thrive if we all take part and share our best efforts to make it what it can be. So Patricia, I love your call, and you are such a sweetheart, and thank you again for your just beautiful, kind words you said about us. It really made our day. And Jerry's got another comment he wants to share.
Well, I just wanted to add that my pastor, Monsignor Howard Lincoln at Sacred Heart Church in Palm Desert, has gone out of his way. He has signs put up that literally say, beyond this point, observe sacred silence. And I'll tell you what, no matter what day of the week I go to Mass, I'm going to put my self-righteous hat on for a minute. I go to Mass an hour early so I can pray. No, because I need to, because I'm such a wretch. But I do. I like to get to Mass early. And literally, you can get there any time before Mass and all the way up to Mass. You could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
And I just say, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Monsignor Lincoln, because at this other parish that I mentioned a minute ago, the choir comes in about 30 minutes before Mass, and they're banging chairs around. A test, 1, 2, is this thing on? And, so anyway, yeah.
Well, but I love what you just said. Monsignor put up signs saying something to the effect of respect the sacred space.
Sacred silence. Yeah.
Sacred silence. Okay, sacred silence. And see, that is a mini catechesis for everybody. And then see that this is what we all need constantly to be catechized and understand what it means when we enter into the house of God. Patricia, great call, and so glad that you waited a whole nother day to get on to the show, and God bless you. Call anytime, Patricia. We just love hearing from you. Okay.
Take two with Jerry and Debbie. What pushes your button? What drives you crazy? You finish the sentence. I hate it when what? Well, Jerry and Debbie here. We've got Debbie on the line in Arnoldville, Louisiana, listening on Sirius XM 130. Debbie, how badly did I butcher your city's name there? Arnoldville.
Actually, you did very well with it.
Okay. Can you give me the exact precise pronunciation? I was talking about people misspeaking early in the show, so I don't want to be guilty of that.
Arnold. Arnoldville.
Arnoldville. Okay. Very good. Well, Debbie, you're on with Debbie, and you have to put up with me too, so go ahead.
Hi, Debbie.
That's okay. Love both of you. Actually, I listened to your encore presentation on my way home from work at 11 o'clock at night. But I get a chance to call in today, and it's a very good topic for me. What drives me crazy is the lack of reverence in prayer. When you, at the funeral home, or they say the rosary before or after Mass, they race through it. Anywhere I go, it seems like people are just saying it as fast as they can to get it over with. And it's like before they finished one Hail Mary, they're starting another one.
Well, Debbie, all Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if I'm not mistaken, Our Lady talked about that with the children of when she appeared to the children in Fatima, and she talked about slowing down and really reverently and
Right.
in a meditative way.
Mean what you're saying.
She talked about it, came right from Our Lady. I believe it was the children of Fatima. Am I right on that, Jerry? If anybody's up on that, please let me know, because I read about different apparitions of the Blessed Mother, but I believe it's the Fatima children. And she said, slow down and meditate. So
Right.
this is coming right from Our Lady, Debbie. So I would agree with you. I would agree with you. And I think, I think it's just human habit. I really do, because we do things so many times, like think about it. People that say the rosary in a very fast pace, on a very fast pace, they're probably saying it, daily.
It's repetition. It's habit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even at night when I'm saying my act of contrition, I'll say it fast. It's like, no, that wasn't. I'll say it 3 or 4 times till I slow down and actually mean what I'm saying.
That's interesting, Debbie, you said that, because sometimes I do that when I'm praying my rosary. I think, wait a minute, I wasn't intentional on that last decade or that last bead, and so I'll redo it. Mm-hmm. But, on the flip side of that, too, I went to Franciscan University of Steubenville, very, very holy, pious place, wonderful students, charismatic, on fire for God. But there was this one group of guys who prayed the rosary so slowly. It took almost an hour one time. I decided to join them. I never had before. And we were kneeling on, pavement or concrete or something, and it was like, Hail Mary, full of grace. And I went, oh my goodness, I'm going to need knee surgery after this. So there's two sides to that, though. I think just,
right.
But yeah, great take, Debbie, on your call.
Yes. Thank you, Debbie, so very much. And we're so glad you got to call in. And thanks for listening to us late at night. That makes our day as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, but that's really good. It is Our Lady with the children of Fatima. So she did. So here it comes right from the Blessed Mother. So we doesn't get any better than that. She's telling us how to pray the rosary. So, okay. I think we should listen to the Blessed Mother. That's my vote. Okay. Nick is in Ohio on St. Gabriel Radio. Hi, Nick. Welcome to Take Two.
Well, hi, guys. Hello there.
Hey, Nick.
Boy, I'd love to chime in on every single call so far, and all near and dear to my heart. You guys covered them very well. My above pet peeve, boy, I have enough in about church. I'll just say one comment about this. I hesitate to criticize anything going on at church during Mass, after Mass, because at least people are there. And I cherish seeing people that I haven't seen there. They may not know the reverent way to behave, but they are there. It's a step in the right direction. Pray for them. Yeah. Pray for them that they get to observe and take hold in their heart the meaning of being there, and then you'll see that change. So on to what I'm excited about, to get a chance to blow the horn. When you hear people put ER at the end of words, where it is more correcter to say more correct. Now I'm using a very bad example there. It's for someone to say, oh, yeah, this is more correcter than that one. Or a wall. That wall is redder than that one. No, it's more red than that one. Or you hear people say just jokingly, oh, gooder. No,
yeah. Or funner. I hear that all the time.
Or funner. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's funner than that. No, more fun. Now, there are words that are correct. You can find them in the dictionary. Brighter. This is brighter than that. That is actually a word. But putting ER on the end of words, it's like straighter. Straighter is not a word. More straight. To say this road is straighter than that one. Well, this is more straight than that one. Oh, little things like that. And maybe I'm splitting hairs, but I love when people think about what they're saying. The other one is, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, that's kind of correct. It would be, I'm grateful for that. think about the difference in the meaning when you say that you're grateful for something rather than, I appreciate that.
Nick, were you with us at the start of the show, Nick, when Debbie and I shared a little bit of what pushes our buttons? Did you hear the opening few minutes?
Unfortunately, I did not. I came in after it already started.
Okay, well, the reason I ask is because you said there is no word straighter, and what I hate hearing is when people add an extra H to words. So I would say there may be no word straighter, but there is a word straighter, according to some people. So, but anyway, let's hold Nick for just a second here, Debbie. We got this
Nick,
break.
can you
Nick,
hang on
if
with
you can
us?
for just a minute.
Is Nick an English teacher? Nick, are you an English teacher?
No, but I love writing,
gotcha.
and I'm a computer tech guy.
Okay, well, hang on with us for a minute. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is part 2 of what drives me crazy. You can call in at 1-833-288-3986.
The Venerable Fulton John Sheen.
If we wish to keep our rights and liberties, we must also keep our God. Piety and patriotism go together. That's the first glory of being an American.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
We know you like listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, but have you thought about bringing them to your next event? No matter what type of event you're hosting, parish mission, conference, or retreat, trust Jerry and Debbie to make it come alive. Begin the process today of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo.
Rory's an incredibly fit young man in training with the Marines. One of his comrades is flat out chubby. During training, they had to do 60 burpees in 8 minutes. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a painful exercise. Marines were snickering at Rory's friend and he was about to give up. Rory got right in his face and shouted above all the other voices, "You look at me. All you see is me. All you hear is my voice. You can do this." And he did. A week later, Rory's commander gave him the challenge. Everyone do 60 burpees in 8 minutes. Rory, you do 80 burpees in 6 minutes. At the end of his strength and unable to go on, his friend ran out of nowhere to his side. "Rory, you look at me. You can do this." And he did. When life's exhausting you and negative voices cause self-doubt to creep in, Jesus is there at your side, shouting at you, "You listen to me. All you hear is me. All you see is me. You can do this." Listen to him, friends. This is Chris Stefanik from reallifecatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thanks for being here for Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we are talking with Nick in Carroll, Ohio. Our topic today, I hate it when, or it drives me crazy when. And Nick, you mentioned a couple of things. We wanted to hold you through the break because I think you had one other item that you wanted to get to, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Nick?
Oh, I think there's more than one, but I am good with that, and continue to listen to the show. I'm recently new to listening to Catholic radio within the last year or so. And I know that's awful because my son, Father Nick Ventura, is actually on the radio a bunch, and I've tuned in to listen to him, but not to all the other programs. And it's just such a blessing.
Oh, praise God.
Truly
Thank you for giving us a priest, Nick. That is
Yes.
a great, great gift to the church, and I'm sure to your family as well.
Oh my! You get me crying. But people say, "How did you raise a priest?" And I tell them, "I stayed out of the way.
Stay out
of their way."
Good.
Amen.
Well, praise God.
Amen,
We're going
amen.
to pray for Father Nick and for you and your entire family. Debbie also has a wonderful heart for the priesthood and priestly vocation.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Nick,
Very grateful. We are blessed.
Yes, we so enjoyed. Did I say that correctly, Nick? We have so. Now I don't have.
Now
to
you're going to
speak,
have a
Nick.
self-conscious for the
Yeah, we're
rest
totally
of the month,
self-conscious. Nick, we really enjoyed your call. Yeah, I'm grateful
when people make the effort.
Got
Well, I think you said that betterer than you did before, Debbie. So. All right.
Yeah, that's right. Nick, God
Thanks,
bless you.
Nick.
Thank
God
you
bless.
so much.
Okay, where are we going
You really
next?
put a smile on our faces.
Oh, wait,
that
can
was
I,
good. We needed that. No, you can't.
Can I
Stop.
read an
Okay, go
email
ahead.
and then you can go to the
yes,
next call?
Yes, yes.
Our dear, lovely friend Maria wants to send a note to take2 at EWTN.com. And a lot of people are going to resonate with this. Maria says, what drives me crazy is politicians saying one thing, like I don't personally agree with it, but I don't want to force my beliefs on others. The way they vote contradicts what they say in interviews about church teaching. So Maria's talking about the I'm personally opposed, but stance that many politicians take. I'm personally opposed to abortion, but I can't deny that right to somebody else. And okay, then the babies just continue to suffer. Okay, go ahead.
There's a couple years ago, a Catholic news agency, there was a beautiful article written, Debbie, if you're listening, it says, the rosary, pray it, don't just say it. This was written by a priest. I'm going to share it with Jeff Burson. Maybe Jeff can post it on our take2show.com website, but it's exactly what Debbie was talking about. And this is good reminders for all of us to hear. Okay, going to Michael. And Michael's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry. I salute you both and your guardian angels. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank
Doing
you.
pretty well, Michael. Thank you.
I'd called yesterday, and you guys had already touched on one of my first things that drive me crazy is just talking after Mass. And Jerry, I couldn't put it any better. It's like the church seems to turn into a coffee shop the minute the priest exit the altar. And there's just, relentless chatter and talking, and it just seems to go on. And this is moments after, we've just received communion, we've just received the King of Kings, the Creator of heaven and earth, and it's very disturbing to me, and that kind of upsets me. But what's even sadder than that is that so often after Mass, within 10 minutes, you might find 3 people that are still in church giving thanks to God for that Mass, for that communion. It just seems like people don't take the time to thank God and give appropriate thanksgiving for what they've just received, what they were just involved in, what God has just given to them at that moment and at that Mass. I can't imagine, at the very least, saying a decade of the Rosary, just one decade of the Rosary after every communion that you receive. And on that point that you were just talking about, the previous caller, Debbie, I don't know if you're familiar with any of St. Louis de Montfort's teachings or some of his writings.
Sure.
But he clearly tells us that every time we say the Rosary, there is an angel and a devil that sits there. And with every single Hail Mary that comes out of our mouth, if it is said quickly, if it is said disrespectfully, or you're just not paying attention to what you're doing, the devil is able to take that Hail Mary. It is unworthy of the Mother of God. And every Hail Mary that we say respectfully, contemplatively, meditatively, those are the Hail Marys that the angel will take and present before the Mother of God. I'm a big fan of the Montfort, so I think that is worth consideration, because frequently, whenever I've tried to pray the Rosary with somebody, you're absolutely right. They're starting a Hail Mary before they finish the last one. The entire Rosary's over in 12 minutes. You might as well not waste your time, because that's what you're doing when you pray the Hail Mary that way.
Right. Michael, both of the things that you mentioned, praying the rosary and then how we dispose ourselves, prepare ourselves, and give thanks after receiving Holy Communion, it does get down to, as Debbie was talking earlier, catechesis. How well educated are we? How well informed are we? But also, how is our prayer life? Because we can have all the head knowledge in the world and just go up. There are people who completely know they could teach courses on the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, but they don't believe. They could teach what the church teaches. They could give, like I said, a class on what the church teaches, but they may not have the faith or the depth of spiritual life to really fully go up there and realize once you have received communion, your body is a tabernacle. Your body becomes a tabernacle. That's why I've heard it said, if you've received communion and you walk by a tabernacle or something, some people say there's no need at that moment anyway, while Christ is still in you, to bow or genuflect because he's inside of you. But yeah, I agree with everything that Michael said, Debbie. And it's just,
I do as well.
I think these things are coming back. I really do. I think it's going to take a little more time.
Well, we have to talk about them, and we have to take the time to help others understand and deepen their faith life and understanding of all of these things. Because again, I'll go back and say this again every single show. We have a very huge faith, a very huge religion, and it takes really a lifetime to absorb it and understand it. And so, Michael, thank you so much. Thank you for calling back. You said you were on the phone yesterday waiting to get on. We're so glad you got on today. So we are very grateful for your call, Michael. See, I said that correctly. Nick would be proud of me.
And we have another Michael who will join us here in about 15, 20 seconds. Michael, hang on. I wanted to read a Facebook comment from B. B says, I am a waitress. I do have same-sex customers, and I know the women call their partner's wife or the men call them husband. This weekend, I have a woman who said she was waiting for her husband. I asked when he would be here. She corrected me and said she would be here in 5 minutes. And B says, come on, you cannot have it both ways. I was meant to feel small because I said the wrong pronoun. It makes me crazy. So B doesn't
That's
appreciate
really
those.
tough. Yeah, that's tough, especially when you're in the hospitality industry. I mean, a lot is changing. Yeah, that's very true. Wow. Okay, are we going to the other Michael?
I think we should. He might get a little angrier at us if we don't. No.
Michael in Albuquerque, New Mexico, listening on EWTN.com. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hi. I'm not, my R isn't at the end. My R is in the middle where there is no R. And I've heard everyday people to reporters say this, Warsh or Washington. And it's like, excuse me, where is there an R? And my mom, she never said that until we moved to Indiana. And all of a sudden she started saying wash, and we would kid her about it. And she finally said, don't kid me about it anymore. But God rest her soul.
Yes.
And anyways, I just like, reporters are doing this now? Come on. So, so I'm with you, Jerry.
I'm actually a native of Seattle, Michael, so I can appreciate what you're talking about here. A lot of people, not anyone, many people outside of the Pacific Northwest do call it Washington. And of course, I lived some of my years. Okay. Yeah, I lived some of my years in Portland, Oregon, as well. And Michael, you probably know this, and Debbie too, that people will say Oregon. So the Oregonians get really. They get just as equally offended at Washingtonians when people say their state like that.
See, now you're jogging my memory. Okay, Michael, I have something. I'm Italian, not Italian. Every time I go to some places, they'll say, you're Italian? No, I'm Italian. So there you go. But Michael, I got a question for you. Can anybody ever spell your city? Because I live in Arizona, and to this day, I've been here 36 years, and I cannot spell Albuquerque. Does anybody ever get it correct?
It took me about a week to get it memorized, but actually all you got to remember is there's a U before the Q, the first Q, and then the U after the first and the second Q, and you're all set.
You're all set.
So,
interesting. Okay. I love it. I love saying it. I just can't spell it.
Yes.
Well, God bless you, Michael.
God bless you both for doing God's work. And Jerry, I really appreciate your show on Saturday.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you. Yeah, pray for us for all that we're doing. We pray for you guys every day too. So. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
833-288-3986. What gets under your skin? I hate it when, ... Drives me crazy when. And Debbie, our dear Stand Tall retreat friend Allison, emailed take2@ewtn.com and said, here's a mispronounced word I'm sure you've heard. And like Jerry's strength really gets to me. And Debbie, every one of us has heard this before. Nuclear, for the word nuclear, like in bombs, fusion, etc.
Okay.
Allison says, I've heard highly educated people say it nuclear countless times, and she says it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Ugh.
Oh, my goodness. Are we being too critical? We're not being critical, are we?
No, we're not being critical at all. This
is all playful fun, right?
Yeah, fun conversation.
Now I'm totally self-conscious. I don't even want to say my name. I probably will get it wrong. No, I'm just teasing you guys. See, we have a really good sense of humor. Suzanne in Abilene, Texas, Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Suzanne. Thanks for waiting and welcome.
Thank you. Really enjoying the show. I missed it yesterday, so I don't know if my pet peeve is too pedestrian, because it seems like a lot of people have been talking about more serious matters than what bugs me. But I was in academic medicine for my whole career, helping to give birth to family practice physicians. And it just drives me nuts when people put on their stationery, professional people. For example, a physician will be Dr. James Smith, MD. You got to pick one. You can't be the degree in the title. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And just before the family practice residents would graduate, I would always give them a little lecture on some practical things, like don't do this, do your stationery right. And you see it on television, you see it in magazines. It's very pervasive, which is probably why it continues, but it's very incorrect. You cannot be both, the title and the degree. So that may be more educational than you were looking for, but then I was in education for a long time.
Right. No, I get it. As soon as you said it, I can totally relate to seeing that. But Suzanne, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the proper way of doing things, stationery and resumes and even letters, emails, internal documents at work, do you think that's all? It's kind of like a free-for-all now because the free use and the quick use of emails. Because I've noticed when emails became the leading form of communication within the workplace, it was like a free-for-all. You could address it, not address it. You could send, all sorts of statements and emails that you wouldn't normally do in proper internal memos. Would you say that that's when it changed, Suzanne?
Yes, and things have gotten so informal, and so I don't even think people are being taught what the correct form is to do anything. I mean, another thing that bugs me is people don't know how to fold a piece of paper to put it in an envelope.
Oh, I know.
It's not that hard to fold a piece of paper 3 ways so it looks nice in an envelope.
It's
they
true.
do it 5 times, cram it in there. And people just aren't being taught. And it's like, I was also thinking, listening to people, I can't remember now, but it's been brought up about proper etiquette during Mass, being quiet beforehand, quiet after Mass, and many things in that area. And you mentioned, Debbie, about we need to do catechesis on this. And I was involved in RCIA for a long time, and there is so much to learn, but so many things aren't being taught. And like in RCIA, I mean, I really could relate to where the process of RCIA was developed, coming from the European part of the church, dealing with, they were taking in Europe, they're taking in people Muslims and people who have absolutely no faith indoctrination comparable to being Catholic. So they don't know the Bible. They don't know the stories. You know, Abraham means nothing. Noah, the flood, don't know that. But I discovered right here in America, working with RCIA Adaptive for Children, that there's a large number of people in America that are totally clueless. They don't know the Bible. They don't know proper etiquette. They don't know how to dress. They are clueless. And in the 9 months that I had to work with those kids, I had to pick and choose what I could include. You can't possibly produce a good, functioning, polite Catholic in 9 months. It takes a lifetime. But unfortunately, that's all I had in RCIA. And I came through the RCIA process in 1990, and there are so many things that I think of myself as educated. I'm always reading. I'm always trying to become educated and more knowledgeable. And you may not believe this, but I just recently learned that missing Mass on Sunday is a grievous sin. And that just broke my heart, and I'm really struggling with that because I'm taking care of my 93-year-old mother who is very ill, and I can't get away. I can't leave her alone. And I participate as best I can through EWTN, but I had no idea that I was committing a sin.
Well, Suzanne, forgive me, Suzanne. Let me jump in on that. There were so many things you have said. I think we have a perfect storm of factors going into why we misspeak, we misspell. I mean, there's the dumbing down, as people call it, in many of the schools. There's also gadgets that have auto-spell that really don't auto-spell what you want them to spell. Then, of course, you've got, I have a dear, dear lady friend that I see at weekday Mass often, and she texts me quite often, and she'll say, you, the letter U, B, I'm praying for you, the letter U, the number 2. I mean, we've sort of truncated everything down that we're not that far away from having a generation or two of adults who don't know how to speak English because some of these things are happening. And I've often said, the keyboards of the future are going to have 2 keys, one for each thumb. But anyway, on a serious note, Suzanne, talk to a priest about this situation with your mom. But here, the church does not expect us to do what we simply are unable to do. If you could get somebody else there with her, that's fine. If you can go to maybe a Mass on Saturday, or if none of those are possible, the church would say you're dispensed from that obligation. It has to be a very, very obvious reason that you can't get there, though. Right. You have to make every effort to do that. But Debbie, am I right? I mean, if she just simply is the only one who can be there, and her mother needs there pretty much all the time, then the church understands that, and maybe somebody could bring her communion or something. But she has to make the effort, of course, first.
Very true. Suzanne, please talk to your priest or deacon at your church and explain your circumstances so that you can feel at peace with this. And they'll be happy to work with you and help you with this. There's Mass on TV, on the radio. Like you said, Jerry, somebody can bring communion to the home. So Suzanne, be at peace about it, but talk to somebody about it so you don't feel so burdened by that and feeling guilty because you think you're committing some kind of sin when maybe you're not. So talk to a priest about that. I really would share that with him or a deacon or a lay leader at the parish as well. Okay, real quickly, may I just say something? Because folks are always asking, what is heaven like? What is heaven? Well, Mother Angelica, this is from EWTN Publishing. Mother Angelica, a great book. Mother Angelica brings clarity to the enigma of eternal life with God and pours light upon the greatest mystery of all, heaven itself. All you have to do is go to EWTNRC.com and you can learn all about What is Heaven by Mother Angelica. Okay. Going to get to as many of your calls as we can. Denise is next in Peoria, Illinois, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the web, EWTN.com. Hi, Denise. Welcome.
Hi. How are you guys?
Better now that you called, Denise.
Oh, thanks. I will try to make it brief. Two things. One thing I just wanted to comment. Earlier in the show and yesterday, a lot of people called on different things that they were not liking about things that were happening in the Mass in relation to what other people are doing. And one of the things that just came to my mind is I'm grateful because I feel like the things that most of the people were upset about were things that they thought were maybe offensive to God or things that he wouldn't like. So for that, I listened to the things that people were saying, and I felt just really grateful for that. And the second thing on that comment is that I myself have had some struggles in trying to pay attention in Mass and so forth, and I've tried to just sort of reframe it so that I can use those opportunities as opportunities to be sanctified. Because, for example, if you see a lady in our church that comes and she has a small child that inevitably every week, the child just cries or fusses or whatever. But every week, religiously, this woman comes. And in the beginning, I used to get a little frustrated because I couldn't pay attention. It was interrupting my thoughts. But I just prayed for the grace to sort of look at the situation differently. And so now when I see her, I think, gosh, bless her heart, because how difficult it must be. She comes, and she comes every time I'm there, I see her, and she makes the effort, and she doesn't let it discourage her from coming to church. And when I look at that, and I think I admire her, and I think she is a saint in the making, because even though she has these struggles with this child, she is working on her own formation, and that child someday is going to probably be a great Catholic too, because regardless, her mother, through the thick and thin, continued to bring her to church. So, and whatever the other struggles are that people look at and get annoyed with, I think, let's be grateful that people are coming to church and pray for them, that they can continue on their journey towards sanctity and use those as opportunities to sort of sanctify ourselves. That's the first thing. And then the second thing that just sort of upsets me, and if you guys have any good suggestions on this, is how the Lord's name is taken in vain. I feel like just in our secular world, it's thrown around a lot, and it just makes my skin crawl. It's the second commandment, so.
Right. Okay, I do have some advice on this. You ready?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Because I worked in the hospitality industry for many years, and people would say the Lord's name all the time for everything. A plate would drop and everything would be said. And I also was in a family for 20 years who were not Catholic, and so they would use the Lord's name. So I got great advice from a priest a long time ago, and every time he said, every time you hear the Lord's name taken in vain, make the sign of the cross. And then they'll say, why did you just do that? And you said, oh, because you just said a prayer. You just said our Lord's name. That's a prayer. And it's so you're again, that's a little catechetical moment. It's a little awkward, I will tell you, the first couple times you do it, but now I do it so regularly. People around me rarely ever take the Lord's name in vain, because they know I'll start making the sign of the cross, even if I do it 1 and 2 or 3 times. What do you think, Denise?
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm not very confrontational, so I hate the idea of calling someone out, and I don't want to, I like that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I love your ideas about catechizing, because that's really what we need to do. We need to catechize lovingly.
Yes. Well, and real quickly on that, Denise, before we let you go, I just wanted to say what you shared with us on your call, you really demonstrated a Christ-like demeanor. And I just wanted to say thank you for that, because your compassion and the way you are reframing it and everything, we should all be doing that. So thank you, Denise, so very much for sharing that with us today. Jerry?
Yeah, well, this shows again where you may be very, very blessed to know that Debbie and I are we're going to have an after show, probably starting sometime around the 4th anniversary of the show, which is June 15th. That's a Saturday, so we'll celebrate the anniversary on the 14th. But we're going to do, for some topics like this, we're going to do an after show. We'll jump over to Facebook Live or YouTube, and we'll have a way for you to interact, not just with your comments, but hopefully with your beautiful faces and your voices as well.
Are we doing part 3 tomorrow? First time ever?
Do you want to?
Yes, we have full phone lines. We have full phone lines.
If you didn't get on today, we'll do part 3, first time ever for that on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. God bless.